Think and Grow Rich, and we are still hanging out in organized planning. We started it yesterday, high level, and what I really love from you guys today are your specific takeaways from some of the many, many, many checklists that exist in this chapter. I think we'll probably still be in it tomorrow because there's a lot of things in here that we can implement in our business. There's a lot of things we can implement in our life. Even if the written word was about employee or it was written about 1937, so much of it still applies today. So, Alicia, I saw your mic come on. Start the morning off. What do you got?
So I'm going to kind of start a little bit towards the middle of the chapter, but I just wrote a big core values. I found some really good, just well said values that I have that are core values. And I really appreciated being able to see that written down and pointing that out to me.
So do me a favor, share some of those. What are some of the ones in the written word that really jumped out at you that you went, yep, and it's great to see them in writing?
Oh, yeah. So your QQS rating. Quality of service means the performance of every detail in connection with your position in the most efficient manner possible, with the object of greater efficiency always in mind. Quantity being the habit of giving all the service of which you're capable at all times, with the purpose of increasing the amount of service as you develop greater skills. And then spirit of service, being the habit of agreeable, harmonious conduct, to induce cooperation from associates and fellow employees. So I love that it said adequacy of quality and quantity of service is not sufficient to maintain a permanent market for your services. The conduct or the spirit in which you deliver services is a strong determining factor. I love that.
Think about it in context to us in real estate. I mean, if you have great scripts, you're out there knocking doors or making calls, you're providing the service, and they're arriving where they want to be, and yet they didn't have a good experience. You've checked all the boxes of what you're supposed to do, yet their experience was not adequate. It doesn't matter how well you performed. That used to be one of my Achilles heels. My coach, Ron Patulski, we were talking about this, and he said, it's not like they've been hit by the bus. It's like you hit them with the bus, they got caught underneath, you drug them all the way to where they wanted to arrive. And when you got out of the bus, you went, guys, what's wrong? You're here. Because as Amber knows, I did real estate at a high level, high volume when I first got into the business. 25 listings in my first 90 days.
It was insane and crazy and great.
It was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
It was.
And a lot of pissed off customers along the way as I learned it's not just about getting the job done. It's about making it an incredible experience for them as well. Now, Nafrita, I thought I saw your mic come on for a moment. I could be wrong. Carrie, I see your mic is still on. Is that I want to speak, or I left it on from when we first came in?
Damn it.
You don't have to whisper to me, but there she goes. Now she shut her mic off, so I know what that was. So what else do you guys have from the content, especially these checklists?
Can I ask a question? I have this book, and I would like to get caught up to where y'all are. Where are you at?
Hey, Rockstar. Well, day one for you, and we'll be back in this chapter again tomorrow, I suspect. We are on imagination, which is chapter 5 or 6. Let's see here.
No,
Chapter
we're on
6.
organized planning. It's
You're right. Organized
7.
planning. You happen to have a postmark there. Chapter 7. Thank you, Nafrita.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Enjoy. And by the way, just so you know, Amber, one of kind of my coaching rules, if you will, is the written word.
Mm-hmm.
green highlighters,
Okay.
just green cutting money easier. And then that way, when it's time to speak in the room, you can just open up your book. You'll see your green notes and you have something right there that you can talk about because you already highlighted it.
Is that
Perfect.
Allison? Like the person that I knew that was supposed to come, I don't know who's speaking. I can't see it. It's not highlighted.
Well, that was Amber that was
Oh,
speaking. She is
okay.
new to us. I haven't yet arm twisted her to get her camera on no matter what. It's still fun, Carrie.
Oh,
It'd be nice.
Yep.
I'll tell you, Amber, we have people in here doing their makeup while they're in the room. It's okay. We want
Okay.
you showing up as the authentic you. So I see Nefrita's mic hot, client, and Carrie, yours is still hot. So I'm going to put you on the list. Go, Nefrita.
So one of the things that I have highlighted in my book was about how to get the exact position you desire. Like you said, this chapter has a lot to offer, and I think it is all about the implementation, right? What we talk about. But this part specifically, number one, it starts with that word that you broke down for us, right? That word decide, right? Where we're killing off everything else and we're like zooming into this one thing because we're focused on this one thing because this is what we're doing, right? And I thought it was just so powerful, right? Then you got to choose, so you got to decide, then you still got to make a choice, you got to study, you got to analyze, forget about the job, forget whether or not there is an opening, right? Concentrate on what you can give. And that stood out to me the most. What can you give? And there's a few of us that are in FastCap right now, and it was just, for me, I love that there was like this unifying voice talking about this thing, right? Concentrate on what you have to give. Yesterday in FastCap, we talked about our unique value proposition. And I think it's very important because so often we're worrying about what we can get, right? We're looking to close the sale because we need the commission, right? We're looking to build on this relationship because of what we're looking at the end to receive for ourselves. But the same, inputter of information that we're getting consistently from out of all of these books that we're reading, it talks about focusing on what we can give, right? So I had to ask myself, what is my value proposition? And I had to go back and redefine that, right? And that we also touched yesterday about redefining our identity, which I loved because we talked about that in this room, right? How do we create this plan for this world that we want? First, it starts with our mindset, our identity. Who are we? What are we giving to the world, right? Because there's someone in here that talks about in this chapter, I don't know exactly where it is, but it basically speaks on you focusing on what you give and letting everything else fall in place and give you what you deserve. And what we often find out is we always get blessed above and beyond what we deserve, right? God told us that He will give us above and beyond what we can even begin to think or conceive or imagine. So I took that and I'm like, okay, time to kind of hone into what I am here to give. And that made me think about what you said, Coach Russ. You tell us about your mission. So I had to ask myself, Nefrita, what is your mission? And so I asked everybody in this room today, what is your mission? Right? And being very clear, like you tell us all the time, and what we're learning about setting goals and plans, being very clear and concise, but most importantly, identifying those action steps and taking action and getting the work done. So for me, I thought that was like just very powerful with just concentrating on what you can give and
So
not
let's talk,
focusing on what you
let's
receive.
talk deeper about this, how to get the exact position you desire. Because I had some folks texting me yesterday on this. Well, this doesn't apply to me because it's about a job. Well, how many of you, by show of hands, would like to have the job of listing and selling somebody's house? Right? So we know the job. Now, choose the company, individual you wish to work. How about, we've talked about before, expires or for sale by owners? I know they're talking about those in FastCap. Let's say for sale by owners. Study them, study their house, learn what you can about what's going on in their world and in that market. Number 4, this analyzation. What's the offer you can make to for sale by owners or expires? But I want to focus on for sale by owners right now. In other words, what can you do to help them be a successful for sale by owner? Imagine you had that. And then 5, forget about the job, forget about actually selling the house. Concentrate on what you can give. That's why I said helping them be a successful for sale by owner.
So,
That's what
Coach,
you
I
give.
did it. I did it. I finally
Oh, let us
found
come back to that, Alicia. Hold that nugget.
2.
Hold that nugget. I want to come back to your success. That is awesome. 6th, you have the plan. Get it in writing. I love this. Give it to an experienced writer to put it on paper. What's an experienced writer each and every one of us has at our fingertips now? Chat GPT. No longer do you have to go find an experienced writer. You can put your nuggets in there, ask for the output, refine it, and get number 6 done. And then 7, present it to the for sale by owner. Now, I love Alicia because her and I have been talking about this. Get that mic back hot, Alicia. Because we've been talking about for sale by owners. We've been talking about this approach. Tell me what you did in your implementation and how it went.
So I don't know. Like I think maybe something has just flipped, and I think maybe I'm coming from, instead of being scared, more genuine and concerned. And those questions have gotten easier for me to ask. But I really just started out with, hey, you know, I know you've got, you want to sell this for sale by owner. And I totally get that and I appreciate it. But I do have these services that can help you, and I've got 2 people who want me to come by, and then another person who she just ended up spilling her guts to me about her life, and her house is 900,000, and even if I can't list it at, like, because I have a feeling they're in a bad situation, but it resonated so much with me. I've got to find some way to help her. I have to. I
And that is
literally don't care
a
about the money.
wonderful attitude. So let me give you real quick, Alicia, and then I've got client Tom and Caesar on deck in that order, just so you guys know. An agent in Huntsville, Alabama, had somebody in the same position that they went expired, and it was a military family. The husband had already been deployed and moved, and she was selling the house to move and was at a loss, and they didn't have the funds, and they were upside down in the house. And the agent did the work for free. Everything. She paid for staging. She paid for all the marketing. She paid for everything and closed that deal with no commission to her. The story that the wife of the serviceman wrote on social media went viral in Huntsville. You never know, when you come from a heart of giving, the magic that the universe is going to do to help you be amazingly successful. Client, you are up. You need to unmute if you're going to chat, and you got to do it quick.
Okay. I'm sorry. I got you. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to go back a little bit just because I was just kind of reading and throwing this around and looking at what I'm trying to accomplish and how I'm trying to get there. And I keep coming back on my part to this thing named leadership. It's a small word, but it's huge. Russ has been talking to us about that and has, just to be very clear, Russ has provided an inordinate level of leadership. And in this capacity, I can't speak to when he was a Hard Rock before this, but in this capacity, he has provided utmost leadership. So I thought about, what is the value proposition of leadership? And leadership is leverage, and leverage is multiplied. And so we as agents are trying to figure out, how can we properly do what we have to do in such a way that we do it without killing ourselves. And I'm beginning to come to the conclusion that that is the leadership of other ladies and gentlemen. Russ, speak to that a little bit. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. I know it's going back just a little bit, but it kind of hit my head.
It may be going back in the text, yet we haven't covered these major attributes of leadership, which I highly recommend you guys go back and re-review, because every single one of you is a leader in some capacity. In some aspect of your life, you're leading. And so you can implement these and improve on these. And absolutely, it's that heart of service client that's making the difference, and it's doing it without fear. I want to share a quick vulnerable story, because in 2005, I had the only full business automation CRM platform in the home inspection space. I created it. I started it. I rocked it. I was arrogant about it. I was leading the charge. And anytime anyone attempted to compete, I threw lawyers at them. I attempted to shut them down. The 10 major causes of failure in leadership. Number 4, fear of competition from followers. I was living it, man. And let me tell you, the implosion was flipping spectacular. The velvet backhand of God got my attention on more than one occasion, and a lot of you guys know the details. And that is what's helped me, by the way, becoming a better leader and letting that fear go. So study these. I've had this book for 30 years. I've flipped through it, as we all have. We have the book on the shelf. In fact, all of us have the smartest bookshelf in the neighborhood, I suspect. Yet I never went page by page, piece by piece through this like we are now. And when I read that, man, right upside the head. Tom, the floor is yours.
I think the order of me speaking is almost perfect. So everything that has been said, from you to Nafritha to, I got to cheat with names, hold on a second, to Alicia and client, the verse of the day applies so perfectly today. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Yesterday, I was talking to an agent who is on her 3rd career move, because I always felt I was supposed to do this, and so I poured into her, and I left feeling refreshed and more confident and more motivated. And a couple days ago, even it was Nafritha and Glenna and I on a call, and I just wanted to pour into Nafritha, who, when she speaks, she's like E.F. Hutton. Everybody wants to just lean in and listen. And she poured back into me. So you learned that very well, Russ, when you were sicking the lawyers on everybody. And then, oh, look, when you prosper, when you help other people prosper. But that was just, the verse of the day is so specifically perfect for this. I had to share.
Where is that verse from, by the way, please?
It is from the Bible. Just kidding. Proverbs 11:25.
I was about to say,
I hear there's a lot of wisdom in that book.
No, that's in wisdom.
There too. All right, Caesar, you, and then Don, I'm gonna be looping back to you, brother.
I just want to make a quick comment. And like my ear's so keen to when people are start making a statement. I'm almost waiting for that but, because that, like you always say, negates everything that had just happened before. So I just want to reinforce that into our group, that I hear this, I'm listening to you guys, and then whatever phrase you said in your but, so that just canceled whatever you just mentioned before that. So be very, very aware, because if I'm hearing it, other people that you're talking to are hearing it as well. Now, it's a great point to use it on purpose, like, oh, there's low inventory, but there's, you negate that prior statement. So I wanted to bring that into our room, because I've heard it here a few times, and thanks to Coach Russ, I don't think I'll ever not hear that word. And then just to reiterate the major causes of failure in leadership. Number one, inability to organize details. And in our world, there's so many details going around that like that's the number one. So it's like our inability to organize those details. And then lastly, I wanted to touch on some fertile fields in which new leadership will be required. And the first in the field that's very pertaining to our world right now, in the field of politics, there's a most insistent demand for new leaders, a demand which indicates nothing less than an emergency. So all of these things are, again, so crazy that's just written so long ago, and they're so refreshing today, like as if the book was written in the last couple of years. So just wanted to share that with the group today.
Yeah,
So-
it's amazing how all this stuff runs in a cycle, doesn't it, Caesar? I mean, we are constantly in this cycle of high and low, and we're kind of following. So the timing of having this book is absolutely perfect. Client, I see you. Alicia, I see you. And yet Don Hobbs has been waiting in the wings.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
You got it.
I love that this group is recognizing all that you're doing for them. It's pretty cool to listen to and watch their comments and see them pouring back. The energy you're putting out is helping a lot of people, and a lot of them are right here. I want to go back to when I walked into the room a few minutes behind, and we were talking about the job, and maybe that put off some people. It's like, well, I don't have a job. Remember, guys, I'm not here. I'm not going to talk about the book. I'm going to talk about what I'm hearing. First of all, Cesar, I heard exactly what you heard. I heard the but, and I heard the try. And I would say, one comment is to everybody, be very conscious, conscious about your language. And here I am stumbling with my language. So be conscious with that, and know that the words you're speaking, and this book talks about that, the words you're speaking is speaking your reality. So just be very mindful. That's a better word, since I'm struggling with the other one. But I want to go back to the idea of the job. Remember that in the real estate business, we've got somebody here, Amber, looks like she's in title related and similar.
Yes.
We have two sides. We have the job of the business, and we have the business of the business. So you've always got that piece, and the job is the daily doings and what you do, and the business is the oversight of the whole thing. The job is the working in the business, to use a phrase from another book. The business is the working on the business. So you've always got those things going. And then Nafritha, you jumped right into the idea of this UVP, this unique value proposition, unique selling proposition, however refer to it. I call it your superpower. And I love that you were talking about how you're coming from giving. And really that's where you want to come from, is like, not from what I'm going to get. What am I going to give? Which again, we studied the Go Giver. What's that about? Giving. How do I give first? Give intelligently, give with the heart of, I'm going to receive from someplace. It may not come back from the same place I'm giving. It's coming back from someplace because I put out energy. I've got to get it back. And if Aretha, you used a phrase, and it's talking about the words we use, you said, even more than I deserve. And I'm going to tell you, it's not more than you deserve. You deserve it. Okay, very, very important that you catch that. It's never more than you deserve. I've heard people say, oh, I'm having a great day, better than I deserve. I'm like, well, that's setting you up for massive destruction. So the final piece that I wanted to talk about was this UVP thing. And guys, I want you to, if you're building this business and you're thinking through the filters of, how do I give intelligently? How do I put this stuff out there? What is it I want to give? The next question is, who do I want to give it to? And the answer is not everybody. The answer is we can touch everybody. The answer is you can be a freaking walking billboard of kindness and giving. But the reality is, what we want to do is give intelligently to the people that we've chosen as a target market, because that's who we're going to pour into. I'm all in on who? I mean, Russ is all in on this group. I'm all in on this group. We're here for a very specific reason. Yet in your business, the question is, which group? Who am I giving to? Where am I going with my giving? Where am I committed to knowing? And Russ just said it. You're gonna know about that property. You're gonna do the research. You're gonna know everything about it. Well, that's a niche of one. What happens when you expand that and it's a niche of hundreds, or it's a niche of thousands, or a niche of tens of thousands? When you watch today's influencers, very often what you're seeing is 1 to tens of thousands who they've chosen as their target market, that they will give to those people in a very specific way because I know who they are. So I think that's all I wanted to say.
Awesome. Well, I think you nailed it. And yes, we can start with one, and then we bounce to a slightly larger group. I would love for all of you to go back and find the exercise on developing your niche that we did in Gateway to Mastery, for you to find your audience. So know that's out there. Heck, that might be just a breakout session, Don.
Well, I'll put in a push for that. We looked the other day to see who's using it, and it was disappointing to see, and that's okay, right? I will say, if you guys would devote through the next week and a half and take lessons 1, 2, and 3, you will find yourself in a very different mindset.
Yeah. Yep.
There's 1, 2, and 3.
All right. So Alicia, bring us home, my dear. You went off and on again. Click it one more time.
Okay. On
There you go.
leadership, I wrote in here, basically, it can be summed up as no narcissists allowed. And then something that Caesar said, I just wanted to say, but totally, I get that. The only time I've ever found that you should use but is when you say, I don't know if this is for you, but.
Absolutely. That is one of those unique ones.
Yeah.
Is the appropriate, because you're negating the negative. So,
and I'm sorry. The last thing I was going to say is that we kind of, I don't know. And I don't know if this is just me, but it kind of seems like I've always equated the super wealthy with, corporate and bad and tough and walking over people and uncaring and unfeeling. Right. So did something happen, because this was written so long ago, that switched people from what's talked about in here to what I've always perceived super rich people to kind of be like? It's definitely not this. That's not what my perceptions were.
Well, here's how I want to address that, Alicia, to wrap this up today. Your perception of the super rich is based upon the super poor you've spent your life hanging out with. You haven't been hanging out with the super rich to see what they're really like. So you've been fed this story about, oh, they got there because they walked over people. Oh, they got there because they took more than they gave. And it is so wrong. As I am in a community hanging out with people who have significant wealth, I am the young pup, small dog baby in this community by far. And to see how much they give, how much they care, how much they're willing to help, it's actually radically different. So I want you and everybody else to do instead is challenge the story. You got to reprogram that in your own head, that being super rich is a good thing because all the good things you can do. Just quick question, Alicia, to wrap this up. Who can do more for the poor? The super rich person or the ultra poor person?
Exactly. Okay.
And they
giver.
do.
The giver.
The giver. Either. You're so right, Nafritha. You're so right. And I have a story I'll share with you later about that.
Yeah, because somebody told me that you can have so much And if you're not a giver, it doesn't even matter, right? Some people are like, oh, I want to be around the rich person. But is that rich person the giver? You could be around the not as wealthy, but they pour into you and give so much. So Alicia, you're perfectly right with that. I love it.
Amen. And here's the fun part, guys. We can have more of this conversation tomorrow because this chapter is so important. Don, this is going to be day 3 of this chapter on organized planning.